Hello, everybody, and welcome to Man's Model Moments Midweek Model Meet. I seem to need to adjust my visual effects somehow. There we go. A little bit less buzzy on the sides there. Hello, welcome everybody. Apologies that YouTube, for some reason, put this as going out at 1:20 or 3:20 or something. I don't know why it did that. There's some weird communication problem between StreamYard and YouTube, because when I checked with, because I specifically put it to 8 o'clock tonight, because I did this earlier, because I wasn't sure up until this morning whether I'd be doing this tonight. And I put it to 8 o'clock. So I checked on StreamYard because I saw on Discord a few people had said they got a notification for 1:20 or 3:20 or whatever. And I checked on StreamYard. No, scheduled for 8 o'clock correctly. And then when I looked on YouTube, sure enough, it was down for some weird time, 20 past some hour. So I set it back to 8 o'clock. So I don't know what happened there. So I guess in future, I'm going to have to check that not only is it scheduled on StreamYard, but then that is communicated through to YouTube properly and check on there. So don't know. But anyway, welcome everybody. So tonight, of course, we will be taking up arms once more with the Type 45. Doesn't sound too promising when I move the box there. I haven't even looked at the kit since last time, so we will have a look where we get to. What is it, Pablo? You gonna come up and say hello? Come on in, Pablo. There we go. Pablo's come to say hello. Here's Pablo. Yes, Pablo is after some bread, aren't you? Right. There we go. Right. Have I lost interest now? Yes. I thought so. There we go. Pablo's star appearance. So good evening, everybody. Let's just have a look. See who we've got in. We've got Graham Ball. We've got David of the Valleys. Well, that's a very Welsh name, if ever I saw one. We've got John Alec. Good to see you, John. We've got Idwell, we've got Polygon, we've got David Markey, we have Graham, I've already mentioned Graham Ball, yes I have. We've got Travis Thompson, we've got Steve Horman, we've got Tess Mills, we've got Julian Hall, Adrian Hook, and no.
I'm finding it in the fridge.
Should be, unless I didn't put it away. We're trying to find Pablo's food. Try the side. I might have left it. You never know. There we go. She was doing man looking. That's normally my job. Anyway, we got Mark Stott, we've got Howard Kendrick, Simon's Modelling Shed. Good to see you guys. We've got Phil. Let's see. I've got World War II scale models. Dave, good to see you. Got Mystery Box Nick. See you, Paul Dye. Julian says maybe YouTube is on Indochina time. Yeah, it's a very weird thing. I don't know what was going on there. It occasionally does these weird things. Not seen it quite do that before, but hey, who knows? Let's see. And I think we've got up to the present. Right, 1 second. I'm just going to close that door. Okay, that should prevent further incursions from Pablo chasing bits of food, and I can eat this. And so, oh, John Christmas, Marcus, welcome to stay. One set of instructions, we shall need those. Put those over there, they're getting a bit mashed there. Various plastic frames. Let's put those to one side a second. Move this keyboard. I'll switch you across to the other camera in a second. Won't need our keel for a bit. And then we've got various pieces here we cut off last time, which are fairly distinctive. Including that, which I'm not sure why that's off, but I think that's probably in a good enough place now. Let's see if we can swap you over. I think I need to just make sure you don't have that on. There we go. Wow, it worked first time this time. That's rare. Normally it destroys the entire setup. But today it worked, so that's good. We have some visual aids which we will probably need. And then let's get some more light. And let's change that. And move this light down. There. Okay. So as good as we're going to get, people. Cheers. Ah, dear. So yes, the reason I didn't know whether I was going to be doing this today, as some of you may know, I have had a bit of a cold. Still have a bit of a cold. You can probably hear. So Maria's gift from Barcelona was that she also brought back the lurgy, which is very generous of her. Fortunately, she has it worse than me, but I feel she does deserve that for bringing it back. So just going to cut this piece off here, because then that allows me to get rid of this entire piece of this frame. I'm not going to attempt to cut this piece with those, because that's the thickness of a large tree trunk. But at least we've got that piece out of the way. Okay. In fact, what I'm going to do is actually cut this here. And then we can get rid of all of that. Which should make things less cluttered here. There we go. Much better. Okay. Can anybody remember where we were to? I should have watched my own video before coming on so I could work out where we were. Okay, we hadn't done these pieces because... Oh, had we? No, we've still got those pieces, haven't we? Yes. Okay. We haven't done 21, 22, 23. I had placed them on just to see how that looked, but I hadn't put them on yet. So we had done these pieces back here. So we've done 16. Oh, I've actually ticked those off. Look, that was good. Somebody was thinking at the time. Did we do 18? No, we didn't do 18 because we haven't painted this piece down here to put on the roof. Right, that was right. Okay. So, what colour is this deck supposed to be? Because I'm just wondering if we put some color down here, we could actually put that top piece on. Because even if we have it open, we're not going to see very much. We do need the decal, of course, but going to this. So the deck, it tells us, 27C grey. Approximately Dark Admiralty grey, BS381C632. I think that's approximately. Okay, so BS 381 632 I can certainly look at. Dark Admiralty grey. Okay, so Dark Admiralty grey is quite dark on that. 46 1.87 minus 3.6 LAB. So I'm just looking at the paint mixer to give me an idea. Right. As always, chaps and chapasses, if you have a question or a comment, if you can write question or comment in capitals, or QQQ for a question, or CCC for a comment, that just helps me pull out your question or comment from the chat, very much as Mark Stott has done here. Mark says, very early this year, I asked Alex and John Alec about mini art kits. Their reactions put me off. However, this lunchtime when RAF Thunderbolt Mark II was delivered, it does look intimidating. Well, let us know how you get on, because I think the mini art aircraft kits are actually probably a little bit less intimidating than some of their armor kits. But good luck with it. It'll be interesting to know what you feel it's like. Mini art should change their name to Maxip Arts. Yes. Right. Simon's Modeling Shed says, do you have any connections or stock from ICM? Yes, both. So, I mean, by connections, in terms of like, I speak to Alina and Valeria from ICM on a fairly regular basis, at least once a month, by email, of course. And stock from ICM, yeah, I've got quite a lot of ICM stock in the shop. A lot of it isn't on the website, I must say, because I did get a big load of stock in, and putting stuff on the website, as anybody knows who has listened to me before, it takes about 15 minutes per product to put something on the website, which is a lot when you've got, say, 100 kits in, being that, you know, you can get 4 products on an hour, you know, in an 8-hour day. That's not a lot of products, and that's assuming you do nothing else, which is, of course, it's incredibly tedious. Things like paints are a little bit easier because you can use a blank template, not a blank template, but you can duplicate. There's only a few things you need to change, but kits are not quite as easy as that. Okay, I think I'm up to date. Right. Let me get back on track. So I think I am going to cheat here, because I think grey primer is probably okay. Now the question is, do I have any grey primer here? I think the question is answered. With the answer being no. I do not. That's slightly inconvenient. Okay. Right. So let me instead not what I want. Am I trying to show you something here that doesn't seem to want to come up in? Okay, if I share this, let me put that across to this page, and I should be able to share this with you. Here we go. So this is the current version, very up to date. This is the most recent version of the paint mixer. Casey has done yet more work on this. Fantastic work. So we've now got little paint swatches on the side here of the different paints. So to give you a visual identity of those, which I really like. That's quite nice. As well as, of course, the description and your LAB values. This is what we're trying to get to, the Dark Admiralty Grey. We also have this really nifty little piece here. So this is appearance under different lighting. So this is your daylight. So this is your ideal illumination. And then we've got incandescent, fluorescent, and LED lighting. So you can see how both the target and your mixture appear. So this helps you get around the problem and the whole point of the paint mixer, the whole point, but a big part of the paint mixer using spectrophotometry and matching to a spectrum rather than matching to a single point is to avoid metamerism. And that is basically where something looks different under different lighting. So that is really handy. Let's just see what this gets going to come up with, because I'm feeling this should be a relatively easy mix. Yeah, that's a very easy mix, isn't it? That's a pretty good match, you know. And this is where you can see. So we've got a match of 0.61 under daylight, and it goes to a maximum of 1. So we don't have big differences here, right? In the 3 different types of lighting, which is what you want. Because if you're working under daylight, that's great. If you've got daylight balanced bulbs, etc. And then you go to a model show that has fluorescent lighting in the hall, it can make a big difference of how something looks, right? I mean, the grey is not a good one to really show you with. Let's just see if we can force it to look. No. That's not really showing it either. How I could. No, grey's not a good one to give you an example, but what we don't want is differences between the spectrum in different parts. Because obviously if you've got different lighting, that's going to give you different areas of this spectrum. Sorry, it's going to have a different spectrum of light. And if you've got more or less of one, so you've got, say this was a bigger gap here, and we've got more light in this area of the spectrum, you're going to accentuate this difference. Essentially, that's kind of what it is. So you want to be matched as closely as possible across here, because you don't want to accentuate any differences you have between the 2 colors, essentially. Because you can have a situation where you can have a good match under, you know, a couple of these, and a very wide match against another one in that case. So yeah, I could pick a sand color, but then it's got a mix to it, and of course we are mixing deliberately to avoid that. So it's a difficult one to kind of show, really. Let me see if I can get something which will work. Try an olive green. If I match using less parts, if I only go down to 2 parts, it'll force it to be less. Or in fact, actually, here we go. That's That's a slightly better example. So you can see here we've got discrepancies here because I'm forcing it to not mix well, effectively. You see it's 1.44. So this looks like a pretty good match under daylight. Under fluorescent light, you can probably just see this looks more green than do these two. And you think, well, that's not a big difference, right? You're going from about 1.5 dE to just over 2, which is just noticeable. But then imagine you have this next to another color which has a different differential. So what you could do, and that one they say also 2, rather than having those be quite close together, you can force them apart. So almost like buckling two things which are closely aligned. Yeah, like close together, and then you sort of push them, and you're measuring the difference instead of between these two, between these under one lighting. So you can create odd effects basically. What is a sort of middle stone, don't we? Let's just try typing in something. Middle brown, maybe. We're doing too well. That's the thing. Casey, you designed the damn mixer too well. Let's just force it to use one paint. Again, it's different, but it's not different, you know, too different across the spectrum. So let's go for the British Aviation. I'll go for middle stone. See if that does this a little bit better. Okay, this is quite a good example. So here you can see, obviously we're not close here, but what's more important, what I want you to see here, is the way that these look different to each other. So you can see here, these two, this center one looks much more yellow. These look more orange. So again, if we had these three, and you see how you're not really getting that much differential in the target color compared to this one. Now, obviously, you're not going to use a single color. You don't want to get this sort of discrepancy. Yeah. But that's what we obviously try to avoid in the mixer, which is why it's not mixing to a point, it's mixing across the spectrum. So you see here, what you don't want is to have these discrepancies if possible. Yeah, to get the difference in colors there. Anyway, we've gone completely off what I was so we want Admiralty, don't we? Dark Admiralty grey. It's a pretty good match actually. 0.61, two colors. That's not bad at all. Dark grey and pale sand. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll prime it black, then we'll mix some ICM paint. Oh, bugger. I've just realized I've left my ICM paint at the shop and not here. There's nothing like being prepared, is there? And this is nothing like being prepared. Okay, let's remove that for a second. However, I did bring these. I did remember the one 350th scale. So these are Tamiya. If I could do that, so you, there we go. So it's not completely skewed. So this is the Tamiya 350th scale crew set. So you get these tiny little guys. They are. Where is my? Do you know? I got a whole load of stuff here ready, and I can't find any of it. Oh, there it is. You can see, scale-wise, these guys are about 4.5 millimeters, something like that. So they are pretty damn small. I do have these for sale in the shop. They are on the website because I thought people might want to get some of those, on their Type 45 builds. So I think I've got like 4 or 5 sets in. So if you feel the need to put crew around on your Type 45, they are available. Right, guys, of course, you should not spray indoors. So this is another of those do as I say, not as I do. As I just quickly give that a blast of primer. Oh, wow. Okay. There was quite a lot of release agent, I think, used here, because can you see that texture? It is repelled from certain areas there. Nobody will see it, so it doesn't matter. I would advise probably giving this a wash. I'm not a big washer of plastic. I think I've mentioned this many times. Some of the older airfix kits, although I didn't wash the Saturn V, and that was okay. I did rattle can it, but that worked okay. Okay, I'm going to do these sides as well because they also need painting, I believe. So yeah, the Saturn V, I've almost finished. I put a clear coat on today, and it's all ready for doing the sort of panel work. I'm just going to give it a wash with a light grey, just to highlight some of the sort of panel lines and bits on it without making it too. I don't want to go. It's not like a huge project or anything, but I just wanted to put something on because some of the large panels, and especially those the ribbing on the sort of sides, look a bit flat without it. So I think just doing that should give it a little bit of life. And then flat coat will go on, and then I've just got to find a way of photographing it because the thing is absolutely massive. So I'm not really sure how to do that at the moment. So ideas on a postcard for that one. Let's just go back. So this is where we built up this section. Going back. I do like the way I've ticked off these. This is very good. I was thinking, obviously, at the time. Yeah, this is these are the little boats that go in the side there, which it says also just to paint 27. Yeah, not sure about that. That's the door, which I think I'm going to do raised, just so that you can see through into that in some manner. So I do need to put that on. So it's part 3D. I haven't organised this very well today, have I? So I know some of you are building this at the same time. I know, for instance, World War II scale models Dave has made much better progress than I have. For example, I know Marcus has not, because his parcel with the Type 45 in is sitting in my shop still. I'm still waiting for the response from DPD, Marcus. I don't really want to send it out again if the same thing is going to happen. So it is with DPD at the moment to sort something out before I resend it. If I don't hear anything by the end of the week, I'll send it out via another carrier, and that'll be that. So yeah, I sent Marcus out Type 45 courtesy of John Alec almost I think it is a month ago, isn't it now, Marcus? And it arrived about a week ago back at my shop, which was slightly unexpected, seeing as the courier had not contacted either of us before it came. So, part, what was it again? 3D. Not quite sure where I'm looking, to be honest. Ah, there, 3D. So yes, Plague Maria brought back some nasty virus, and so we're both dealing with that. So the shop was closed Monday and Tuesday, and obviously for the Tuesday talk, you'll have probably heard I was pretty nasal. As I say, I haven't got it anywhere near as bad as she has, but I feel that's only just, given that she brought it back. Okay, so that goes on there like so. It doesn't until you drop it, and then it falls into the falls into the paint that hasn't quite dried. Fortunately, again, you can't really see anything. So, World War II scale models. Dave, a gentleman and a scholar as always, has gifted 5 Man's Model Moments memberships. Thank you very much, Dave. And if you do receive one of the gifted memberships, I shall direct you to the YouTube community page. That's what I wanted to say. Where there's a members only post. I will refresh it after this stream to make sure that it is still current, with the Discord link. So come and join us on Discord. We've got a nice little community there, and Discord is the best way of getting hold of me directly. Want to ask me any questions? We have a group build. At the moment, it is a Tamiya tribute build. So any Tamiya kit. I've already built a Chieftain, and I think I'm going to build the M36 as well. Exploring Unseen, welcome. Right, so let's whack some extra thin on there, and then put this in place, and hopefully it won't fall off this time. Yeah, there we go. So can't see a huge amount of this from in there. So I think we'll be okay with brush painting it and then putting the decal down. Quick wash and that'll be it. Okay, so while that is drying, let's have a little look at what else, because that is the roof. It goes that way around, if I recall. So I call it a quite tight fit. It has to go kind of in. And why won't that go in now? It worked last week. It might just be the primer. Yeah, there we go. Just a little brute force. That's all that's needed. Brute force and ignorance. can get it down there. Yeah, it's just solely the thickness of the primer that's doing that, I think. Oh, and also a slight extra. That's okay. I think this is one of the things that has changed most about airfix kits in the past 10 years, I would say, is the engineering level of them, because this door is actually preventing this from seating now that that's in. So if you recall last month, this actually fitted without any problem, but that goes across where this piece is meant to fit, which isn't very clever design. That's slightly problematic. I can kind of see how it's supposed to fit, but it doesn't quite go where it's supposed to. You might need to do some slight surgery on that. Yeah, it is very dark in that hanger, isn't it? But that is, I don't know whether yours did this, Dave, but mine is definitely resisting going on, and it is that door which is preventing it from going down. It's catching on the lip, effectively, formed by that piece. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe if I hadn't glued all of this in to start with, I could have forced it a little more, but even so, let's just thin this a little bit to make that entry a little easier. So it's surprising, actually, sometimes how much a thin layer of primer can actually add, because you're only talking about microns, but quite often, you know, a decent layer of primer, even being those microns thick, is enough to displace something's fit. Now, let's see, where is that? That is kind of here. And transition that to the underside. And then goes to here. Again, transition that to the underside. So it's between these two pieces here. Now, because the plastic's quite thick, I think I should be able to shave a section between the two. Sort of form a cutout here to allow us to clear that door, which you shouldn't need to do, but I would rather do this and avoid any issues than just say, well, it shouldn't be like that, and still have them. Just because something shouldn't be like that doesn't mean it ends up physically in the world changing. Now, funny story. I got Jaguars today. So I got the trade news from Airfix saying there's been a mistake. We got the wrong fuselages in the Jaguars, in the vintage classic Jaguars. We're not able to supply the correct parts at the moment, so we're going to refund you for the Jaguars. Now I had pre-ordered these ages ago. I'd only got a couple for the shop, and because I got a big order from Hornby a while back, with the Artemis and the Saturn V, so I didn't have enough to make the minimum shipping quantity, and yet this stuff arrived today. I was just notified, this stuff's being shipped, and I thought, oh, well, I've not paid for it to be shipped, and it's not at the MSQ, and it arrived today, and I thought, oh well, seeing as that they released that notification, it won't have those Jaguars in. No, Jaguars win. So I don't know whether this is a change of policy by Hornby. It's a mistake. It's a one-off. I don't know. I didn't really want to contact Dale at the moment because I think he's probably got his work cut out for him at the moment with the whole Jaguar thing. See, now that has gone on without too much fuss. That's all it needed. Just a little bit of shaving at this end. That's all good. Yeah, you can see basically nothing in there, right? So I'm not too concerned. So yeah, I've got a couple of Jaguars. I'm actually going to build the Jaguar. I've already started because, and you may think this unusual given what I've said about Hornby in the past, but I don't think it's really that big a thing, as big as people are making it. I think the fact it happened is telling, and it's unfortunate, but the actual, if you like, calamity of it is, I want to show, I'm going to build it and show actually it's not that bad. It's not going to take too much to correct it. Now, yes, it shouldn't happen. I understand how it could have happened. I don't think it's that bad, but ultimately is a Hornby resource issue, right? If Hornby don't give Airfix the resources to be able to have somebody to check all of these things, then little mistakes are going to get through. So I do feel for Dale, because I know he tries to do everything right. And sometimes these things happen beyond the control that you have. It shouldn't be. You should have the resource to have somebody, be able to check all of these little elements, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't. So yeah, I didn't want to contact Dale, but I do obviously want to contact them at some point saying, look, is this a policy change, or is it just, was it a mistake? Was it a one-off? Do you want me to pay in the future? I just don't know what's going on. That's a problem, right? It's one of the things that all businesses value, and this was shown when Trump did the tariff, is businesses like certainty. They don't like not knowing what's going on. And that goes down from the one-man shops like me all the way up to big business. We like certainty. We like to be able to predict. I can't order from Airfix or from Hornby not knowing whether my pre-orders are going to be shipped or they might not be shipped. I might be waiting for them, or I can't work under that. I have to know, yes, they're going to be shipped now, free of charge. Or no, we're going to require you to pay shipping. Okay, now I can at least make an informed business decision. Do I do that? How much of that do I pass on to customers? All that kind of thing. Because, for instance, some people said you should just pay the £15, for things like the Wessexes pre-orders. You should just pay the £15 and absorb that. If I had done that with those Wessexes, if I just ordered those Wessexes, and paid £15 to have them posted, I would have lost money on every single one. So I can't do that. I can't afford to do that, because I included postage with my pre-orders. That's one of the advantages of pre-ordering through me, is that you pay the normal price and it's free postage. So the whole idea was, you get the pre-order, you'll get them quickly. When they come out, as soon as they come out, I ship them to you free of charge. Boom, done. And I wasn't able to do that. So you've got to know up front. You can't run a business based on a variable that you don't know, that's under somebody else's control. Nobody would do that. Anyway, I'm just shaving a little bit more off because it's still not sitting quite down enough. And I'm not sure whether it's the door stopping it or whether it's these pins, which don't seem to align very well. See, it's going in one end quite well, but not the other, which I seem to recall we had the issue with before. I don't think it's that door preventing it anymore. I'm pretty sure it's not. Those pins are aligning. I think it's just not a very good fit. I think that's the conclusion I'm coming to there. Okay, fine. Do you know what? I don't think I'm going to paint it now. I think the priming inside is enough, because when I can spray the grey, I'll spray it into that. That'll actually cause the areas where the airbrush, so I'll only spray it so that it goes in a little bit. So the black will create artificial shadow, so it'll look like it's the shadow, excuse me, in there anyway. So I think that's what I need to do there. And I'm talking out loud saying that, basically trying to convince myself that that's what I need to do. So let me scrape the paint I've just sprayed on the connecting parts, connecting surfaces. Quite satisfying doing that, just creating these blank areas. It's like, I don't know if you ever did it when you were a kid. You could, I mean, you can buy them, or you could buy them at a later stage, but originally we used to like color a piece of paper, like in rainbow colors or, whatever color, and then use, so like that with pencils or felt tips, and then get a wax crayon, a black wax crayon, and cover the whole thing. And then you could use like a cocktail stick or a little scraper or something and scrape off the black to reveal the colors below. So you could create a picture in against the negative of the black. This was one of the pastimes of the 70s. I don't know if anybody else did that. And of course, then you could buy those sheets, but we had to make them ourselves back then. That's what that reminds me of, anyway. I'm sure there is a proper name for that type of. I'm sorry if you can hear plastic scraping near the. I should probably. Can you really see any of that? No, you can't see any of that at all. So I'm not going to bother priming that. That's why I'm a lazy modeler. If you can't see it, sod it. So yes, happy October, everybody. It is, of course, the 1st of October. This does need a little bit of kind of wiggling about to get the alignment of these pins. So these pins go in a couple of little holes, and they're not that easy to align. Once you've got them, it's kind of obvious, but they do take a bit of wiggling. So just watch out for that. And the fit is Well, it's not great. I'm actually wondering if I take those pins off. They almost seem to be preventing it going together. Yeah, there's the little walls there go further up. I mean, they do align it, but it's not a terribly good fit, this piece at the back, let's say. And the thing is, because it's a whole complete structure here, you can't really do too much about that. So here's what it is, I guess. But yeah, I think the engineering of airfix kits has come on a long way since this, because this definitely has some slight crudities compared to like a modern airfix kit. Okay, so we have done step 8. We have done now step 9. So that means that we can also do step 11, which is this funnel piece, I guess. Which kind of locks in to this. There's got a little hole there, and then ooh. Okay, that does not fit well. Okay. So what is stopping that going down into there? So you can see this tab here locates in this little piece there. It's almost like it doesn't want to go in. Good question, Steve. Simon, sorry. The short answer is no. I know it will not be next month. It's not in the current releases. It has been delayed. I know ICM have been facing some pretty tough times with the volume of attacks that have been coming onto the Ukraine in the past few months. So no word as yet. But fingers crossed. Ah, there we go. So yeah, that was just, I just needed to open that slot out a little bit to get that to push down. So the slot wasn't quite large enough for this to go. It just needed a little bit, which is a common theme. We've had that a few times, right? So again, just bear that in mind if you're sort of building along here. Let's just scrape those sides. We've got a good bond. So to me, extra thin will burn through paint like this, but I always prefer, if possible, to give it a fighting chance. You're always going to get a better bond plastic to plastic rather than plastic to sort of paint, glue, plastic mixture. So sometimes you can get away with it, but you know, if you don't have to, you can give it a nice clean bond, always preferable. Yeah, so that's actually gone on really nicely there. What is that structure then? It's got this hole in. Or is that just, does it have something else that goes on? Yes, it does. It has the other funnel piece. Okay, so I'm answering my own questions here. Don't worry about it. So, number 11, done. Maybe I should have used a different color pen or something so that we could at least see. I mean, at this moment, time it's a complete guess. It would be great, wouldn't it, to have it at Helford? That's interesting. Just finished Mr. Belmerson. Oh, that's a great name. Welcome. Just finished the airfix 1/32nd scale omnibus. Worst kit I ever touched. I don't know that one. How old is that kit? I'm going to have to look it up now. Again, if I've not said it before, guys, when this auto focuses, I apologize. I can't change it on StreamYard. Let's have a look at ScaleMates. Omnibus. Kit. 1/32nd scale. Oh, yes. Last released in 2014 by the looks of it. How interesting. So for those of you who haven't seen it, here it is. 1910 B-type omnibus, 1/32nd scale. They did it in this civilian scheme, and they also did it as a wartime version. B-type bus, old Bill. I've never seen that before. How interesting. It does date back to 1962. So, yeah. It doesn't surprise me, Mr. Bomerson, that that kit is, as you described, the worst kit you've ever touched. Have a go with the Airfix Belvedere. That might convince you that this is a better kit. Because that is truly terrible. It does predate the omnibus by 3 years, so I do have them in stock. I've got 2, I think, Belvederes left. I actively try to dissuade people from buying them, but some people want to, so I'm not going to stop people who want Okay, can you hear me now? Hello, can you guys hear me? Please let me know. Okay, good. I don't know why that went off. I didn't touch anything. Just one of those things. The vagaries of StreamYard. It's not like we pay an exorbitant monthly payment to them to make it work or anything. Oh, no, wait. Yes, we do. Right. This is sort of slightly twisted because obviously it broke off and this bit is a little bit misshapen. So that's going to have to kind of be held in place a little bit when we attach it. So just watch out if this piece becomes detached from your frames. It is supposed to have another piece across there. So just watch for that. I'll have a look in a minute, see if it's come loose and it's in the box, but I don't think I'm going to find it because I think I've thrown away the big plastic bag it came in, seeing it was about the size of a bin bag. But this piece obviously goes on here. Yeah, that should help hold it in place. But first of all, we do need piece 37D. I have no idea what shape that is supposed to be from that. Don't know what I'm looking for from that. What a weird looking piece. Right, well, it definitely isn't in the box. I don't recall seeing a piece like that. Now, these frames are interlinked. One side is different from the other, I believe. So, 37. Can I see a 37? Ah, I think that looks like it to me. Yes, it is. Because this side is D and this side is F, which I think is dumb, but to have a two-sided frame. Right, so this goes in how exactly? That does not really give a very good description. Now, is it supposed to be? Yeah, it's like that, right? Okay, yes. I must say these in places are not the clearest instructions that Airfix have ever made. So if one area that Airfix have really upped their game in recent years, it is definitely in instructions. Modern instructions leave these far behind. Yeah, so the little piece that's missing, you see, is just kind of across here. So it's not so bad because we've got quite a bit of area that we can actually put a piece of plastic card across there and then build up. So that's not the end of the world. Disappointing, but not the end of the world. So let's just put some cement or across here. There we go. That should help pull that more into shape as well. Yeah. There we go. Martin, you're absolutely right. It should be. Why they didn't retool the transparency on it, I have no idea. Although, to be fair, that wouldn't save the kit. No, John Alec, thank you for letting me know. Sometimes the audio and stuff on StreamYard is not the most stable, let's say. Which again, for a paid platform, because I do use the paid version for various reasons, getting people on and stuff. And also, if you don't have the paid version, you're limited to 720p rather than 1080. Okay, so we've done all of that. We did this one as well, so we can tick that one off. And this, yeah, so we got to this stage. Yes, I remember this because these, if you recall, we had to open up some of these tabs as well, because otherwise they were really like pushing out. So yeah, again, the engineering of this kit isn't bad, but it is not like the engineering of, you know, a modern. I mean, look at the Gannet compared to this. Or, as I understand it, the new two-seater Spitfire, I believe, is very good. I saw Jamie Hago's comments on that, and he said it just falls together. It's a really beautiful kit to make. So I think if you've got a little bit of spring here, it doesn't matter because you've got such large areas. You just saw I was putting liberal amounts of extra thin cement there, all across those, you know, big flat plate areas. So that's going to provide a lot of holding power. You see, it's starting to come together, starting to look like what it's supposed to. So this front piece then, see, that seems to fit. Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. That so you've got this natural trebuchet effect. You just try not to stab yourself. Just shave out this bottom just a little bit at the front. Yes, it just helps to not have quite so much of that spring effect. And because the plastic's so soft, you can do it fairly easily. Because otherwise it's kind of fighting you for putting it against here. With this, you know, you don't have quite the same in terms of area. But it does need a little bit of scraping just on that seam. A little bit of excess plastic. The trick here is to remove it without removing too much, because you don't want to create a gap along the edge there. Yeah, so I think it was relatively popular, the T9. They are, of course, going to be doing the Mark 9 from it, I think. It's one of the iterations of it. I can't remember which. So just putting cement at the back here along those joins just to get those in. It's not too bad. Not too bad at all. And then they've got the final piece, which there's quite a lot of pushback on that one. And the thing is with the back one is it really doesn't have any flat areas to go against and is going to form the rest of our, it's going to seal that sort of strange pyramidal shape. So I am going to shave a little bit on the inside here. Try and reduce that effect somewhat. The main thing is to do it and then keep testing it to make sure that you're not taking off too much. Because what you don't want is to make a big hole at the bottom that you then have to fill. It may actually be easier doing it from underneath. You see that has reduced the pushback quite a lot. So I don't mind it having a little bit of spring, but I don't want it so that it's kind of pushing back massively with huge force. It's not there, so that's good. So this time I am going to pre-cement all the edges just to get them a little bit tacky. I'm going to do the same with these. So what this does is you're kind of pre-melting the plastic a little bit. So I'm not really trying to keep the cement wet on there. It's actually advantageous for me to leave it a little bit so that it evaporates a little bit and softens the plastic effectively. So that when we put it in, it just has that little bit of tack. We can actually get it in properly so that it's sticky, so that it then, you can imagine like you're welding, imagine heating up two pieces of metal so they're soft, and then you join them together, push them together, kind of like that, rather than actually just welding it, with the rod as you're going. And then, of course, we can just run some extra thin on the inside of that join. Let capillary action do its work. And that looks pretty solid. The lines match up all the way around, so it doesn't look odd, which is good. There we go. That is that part done. So we can tick off 22, 23, 24, and 25. Look at that. Cooking on gas, guys. Yeah, Martin. Yeah. I can understand why it would put you off, because the Belvedere is not a good kit. It's just not a good kit. The ICM Cobra, was that the 48th or the 32nd? Because the 48th one, I believe, is the special hobby kit, and the 35th scale is the 35th, is not 32nd, is ICM's own tooling. Yeah, I don't know why your comments might be not popping up, Steve. Question: would Airfix release the T9 in 124 scale to join the rest of the range? I don't think so. I really don't think so. That would require quite a lot of tooling. I don't think they would do that. It would require an entire new fuselage. It would require quite a lot of modifications in terms of new cockpit components, new clear pieces, it's a lot of tooling. So I don't think they'll do that. Could be wrong, but yeah. Martin, yes, indeed. So I've had that fairly recently, actually, and of course, being a scale model shop owner and a scale model YouTuber, it's even worse because you can't not do it. But yeah, sometimes that hits. We've talked about it on airfix and chill, on midweek modeling meet before, about getting your mojo back, losing your mojo, getting it back, not being asked. Sometimes it's good just to take a little bit of a break, to be honest, do something else, so you get that craving to cut plastic again. The other thing is just do something really simple and really different. So I've done a few of those kind of things where, in addition to doing stuff for the channel, I sometimes will just glue something together. Not worry about filming it, not worry about painting it. Just stick stuff together without any pressure, and that feels really good. Rather than having the pressure of, you kind of got to focus in on this and do it. So yeah, I would advise try just doing something very different. I think Warhammer, Star Wars, God forbid, an egg plane, something which is not your usual thing that you don't particularly care about. So it doesn't matter if it goes wrong. Don't worry about details. Don't worry about internal painting necessarily. Just stick something together and just slap it together. And sometimes that's enough to break you out of it and get you that kind of feeling. And if it doesn't, then just try doing something else for a bit. And and you'll get the itch come back naturally. Take the dog out for walks, go and watch a football match, go to the pub. I find sometimes a little, a mini break works. Watch documentaries, watch other people building stuff. Anything that kind of still satisfies your interests, but isn't you doing it. And something will get to the point where you're just like, yeah, I'd really like to do that. I'm going to go back and do that Tiger One or whatever it is. Oh, it was the 32nd, 35th. I can't remember what it is. Scale kit. Okay, yeah. I mean, they're both nice kits. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, one is in association with Special Hobby, and one is the ICM tool. The 32nd, 35th scale kit is the ICM tooled one. Okay, so we've done all those pieces. Now 9F is this weird spiky piece. Let's get that. The other big difference, I think, in the tooling of these slightly older kits is how the injection gates are designed. Much cruder compared to current airfix stuff. And I noticed that quite a lot in building the Artemis compared to the Saturn V. Some of the connection points on the Artemis, how they connect to the sprues, you can see the evolution and progression, much more sophisticated, with pieces which connect kind of on the top or on the underside of pieces where you can't, see any cleanup marks, etc. Just a little bit more thought put into it, which obviously comes also with the advances in technology that allow you to do that easily, in CAD and then the 3D milling part. I'm especially noticing it here. Okay, so weird star-shaped piece. We've also got these two pieces, which I'll come back to, but this goes here. Okay, yep. Again, some of we're going to need some filling. Let's put it that way. And then we need 35D and 36D. Not on this piece, obviously. We're back to here, aren't we? Ah, there we go. We see them straight away. 35 and 36. Let's take 35 off first, so we don't get them mixed up. So not actually easy to get to. Yeah, and just in the design like that, of how you get to parts, that wasn't particularly easy to get off. No? And it does need a little bit of cleanup. It's just the sophistication of almost like the precision of the casting here. It's not quite at that level, which you are seeing now in airfix kits. So whilst this is still a good kit, it isn't anywhere near the current level. You can see how far they came in 10 years, basically. So 35 goes on this side. So basically these little things glue into these the pins go in these little holes here, and then they go down the deck. I could put that in. It would help if I actually had some cement on my brush there. So that sort of holds them at roughly the right angle. There's quite a lot of play in that though, so we do have a little slot in the hull which will help us out. We've also got these little structures on the side here which are easily bent and broken off, so just watch those because they are supposed to be there. Just going to touch a little bit of cement on that one because otherwise that is going to come off. Right, so we've got one. Let's get the other one off. Yeah, I mean, if you look at this frame, it kind of demonstrates how far airfix have come, because it's a busy frame and things like this. So let's just put that, get my sweatshirt underneath it so you can see easily. These pieces are not well protected, right? I'm amazed that they've survived, to be honest. But it's very busy. You've got things like this mast here. Sorry, let me get rid of the comment there. Sorry. You've got this mast here. Again, that's not going to be that easy to get out in one piece. And it's little things like that where you've got this piece here. I don't know what it is, but it is quite sophisticated and thin in places, but you've got big injection. That is going to be a nightmare to get out in one piece. Likewise, these pieces, in fact, all of these here, right? They're going to be challenging, not impossible, but not easy to get out in one piece. Here, this little piece. The prop pieces here, where do they begin and end here? That's not very clear. Which are all kind of, let me call it old-fashioned ways of tooling stuff, which, again, these props here, very fine piece, but these pieces here, which are obviously designed to make sure that all of this gets filled in, are thicker than the actual piece itself. So removing them again is going to be problematic. These are all challenging pieces, which nowadays would be molded in a different way, arranged on the frame differently, to make them easy for the modeler. So I think that's one of the big differences, is that in modern design, like Tamiya, Academy, Revell, to a lesser extent, I think, Airfix, ICM, they all think about how the pieces go onto the frame, and what is actually going to be accessible and possible for a modeler to do. It's just because you can mold a piece doesn't mean that it's usable. Put it that way. And that is one of the big ways I think that kind of the hidden ways in which this hobby has changed a lot. Because back in the 60s and 70s, nobody gave a damn about that stuff. It's like quite often the injection gates and stuff were bigger than the parts themselves, and you couldn't tell where on earth the part began or ended. I remember doing many kits like that, where you cut a piece and it's this like vague blob going into a vague blob, and you're not quite sure which part of the vague blob is supposed to be there or not. And this is definitely on the kind of cusp of those two eras, I would say. Those going okay. Again, this is one of those pieces that this is fine to do, but don't put these pieces on and then leave this to dry, because the fit of these is ambiguous enough that when you put it on, I bet it's not just going to slot in. Yeah, there's a little bit of adjustment needed. Actually, it's better than I thought. But the worst thing you could do is leave it to dry at a certain angle, and you come on, and then you need to move it, and it breaks. Which I'm not saying that I have done before, but I definitely have done before. Okay, that actually fits. That was very pleasing. You can see actually, look, this where I've trimmed it. See if this will actually focus. I don't know if you can just see where I've trimmed, maybe on this side a little bit better. Where's the excess plastic still there? Just needs to come off. Anyway, let's get this. So I'm just going to fill these little troughs. Maria is finding something absolutely hilarious in the front room. I don't know what that is. Whether she's watching something or whether she's speaking to her sister, I'm not sure, but right. I'm intrigued. Okay, that went in very, very pleasingly. That was nice. I like that. Good. Okay, we can tick 26. We now have 27. Oh, have I still got the... Oh, sorry. I always forget to take off the visual effects when I go onto this camera. Apologies for that. There we go, that's better. You guys need to remind me. I can't really expect it to remember all this stuff myself, obviously. Right, so 7F, this is this one. And 24F. Here we go. This is another piece. Look, here we go. This is a classic example of exactly what I mean. Here, let's see. See if we can get this to focus. See here, we have this piece with a cutout there, and they've put the injection gate inside that, which seems like a really clever thing to do, right? Except when you come to get it in, I mean, I've obviously got quite narrow single-bladed nippers, so I can get in here and cut it. But if you didn't, if you had standard nippers and did that, you're going to crush it for a start, which could mar that. It's not an easy thing to do necessarily. Whereas a modern kit probably wouldn't do that in the same way. It would have a more narrow injection gate here, so it would allow you to get in there a lot easier. And I think I saw a comment here. I think Case is exactly right there. Old designs were easy for manufacture. Modern design is, yeah, it's a good way to put it, not making modelers cry. Oh, I missed that one, Simon. Can you put a shout out that it's St Ives Cambridgeshire IPMS model show on Sunday the 5th? Definitely, yes. In fact, Simon, if you send me the details on Discord, I'll put a community post up on it. Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, if you send me the details on Discord, I will. I'll put it up on a post so that everybody's aware. I think communicating model shows is a really good thing. I think model shows are a really good thing to do, to go to. You know, as I mentioned, I'm going to go to Telford this year as a participant rather than a vendor. Get a chance to meet more people, see more of the show, see the competition, do a bit of filming for the channel. You know, I want to actually do a proper video on the show this year. Okay, the bit of that is, you know, there's quite a gap there, but you push it up and it fits okay. Because, see, this is forming one of those little channel things again, but the fit is a bit looser, so it's not being pushed up. Like if I put that, oh, that's the wrong piece. If I put that in, there's absolutely no spring back effect at all. So you just have to be careful there that actually the bottom is pushed up against it. Otherwise, you're going to get a bit of a gap there. So it's the only point I can see for that one. But again, a liberal coating of liquid cement all over that surface is going to make that fit well all the way across there without too many issues, I think. And this plastic is very amenable to extra thin, which I like. It is on the soft side though. Oh, there's Abingdon model show as well. Both a little too far for me. Well, unfortunately, I can't do a Saturday because of the shop. And St Ives is a, oh God, will it be about a 4-hour drive for me, I think. That is very tight, that one. So I think a little bit of the former shaving. I think some of this is caused by that, let's call it imprecision in the casting, or molding, I should say. I always get told off for saying casting, even though everybody knows exactly what we mean. Technically, they're correct, so I can't really fault people. There we go. That's much better. The springiness is fine as long as it's not real pressure, you know, when you try and bring the thing in. I think, though, I will do the pre-melt, as it were. I used to go to Abingdon quite a lot. There is a, well, to Milton Park specifically, there's quite a few pharmaceutical companies, biotech companies there that I used to go and visit and sell various different machines and supplies to. And that brings us to the end of 27. Yeah, we're cooking along now. Yes. How many stages are there? Oh my God. 90. Oh my God. So we're about 30% of the way through. Okay. In absolute numbers. So right. Now we have this rather peculiar piece, which I don't really like because it has this big aerial on it, which is undoubtedly going to get broken off at some point. 26F, which has, see again, we have this little dome radar thing, which looks like, you know, it's a piece of, I don't know, just like a spur or something, but it's actually part of the piece, and that's where it's injecting through. Not a great design. And then 1F, this one. So yeah, definite improvement in how these things are designed now. So these pieces are going to cover up those big sink marks. Oh, bugger. Look at that. I've just broken that straight away. I said it wasn't a good design, and I've just demonstrated why. Fortunately, it's not completely broken off. So whenever I do something like that, if you put a bit of extra thin on it, just blow it till it kind of evaporates, and then put it back in position. You can usually save it before it falls off. Sort of weld it back into position, like so. Let's leave that piece for, for a moment. Okay, that piece has no locating bits. It just literally just gets stuck on. So where's our extremely breakable aerial? This goes on here. Yeah, okay. Then this piece will go on here, like so. Okay. So they're sort of overlapping in different ways there to cover each other's deficiencies, if you like. But yeah, this is where we're going to cover up those great big sink marks on this piece. So again, I wouldn't recommend sticking any of these pieces on individually because they kind of go together in this. You know, one goes here and then one goes like that onto it, and the other one goes on here like this. So if you glued this piece, this end piece, that it was equal across the two, you wouldn't be able to put these other pieces on properly. And it's not apparent until you actually come to kind of put them on. that that is the case. In general, I'm not a fan of pieces like this with small bits or aerials and things attached to them, because they just don't give you any options. You know, you're likely to break them off. And rather than something that you can put in at a later stage, you know, you can control that. It's just not ideal, you know. So these pieces then both form the overlay for this piece to come in, which is why it doesn't have any definitive tabs or anything, because it's resting between those two. That all goes together quite well, apart from the fiddly little bits on top, which are easily broken off. Whereas if this was, you know, placed on later, which I would much prefer, it also needs trimming. You're not going to knock it off during assembly or painting. You know, and then you can just put it on at the last minute. You know, you wouldn't put an aircraft aerial on at this stage in a build, would you? There is quite a lot of filling to be done. I mean, especially at, I mean, that I can get my scalpel blade in. It is 0.5 millimeter. So, you know, that is what, 180 millimeter gap on a full-size ship. And I know the Type 45s have their problems, but I don't think any of them are down to that kind of sized gap in plating. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it is starting to look pretty good. We can tick off 28. Let me just check the chat. I think I've been keeping up relatively well. Yep, I think we're all good. So we're coming to the bridge. Let's get these pieces off now. So again, we got more of these little tiny bits on the edge, which almost look like they're, you know, something to be trimmed off, but of course they are not. We actually do have some kind of rudimentary bridge console pieces in here, and I think these are meant to be crew members, I believe, to give that impression of a crew member, maybe. Yes. Oh, or maybe chairs. It might be chairs. Don't know. I might put some guys in here. So first of all, let us get these launches. I'm going to cut off those, so I've got them here. That means I can hold them, obviously in a like a crocodile clip thing, and paint them before I put them on. Now we do have some little bits here as well. Piece I shall leave on, and then I can get rid of all of this probably bigger than I want to cut. Just again to try and keep these pieces down as much as possible. There's a lot of these little bits to go on at some point. Right. 1D and 2D. So that is not that piece. This comes back to our strange split sprue. Here we go. That's 2, that's 1. So let's deal with 1 first. So 1D, yeah, again, we've got little pieces here. I mean, I don't know what they are, like searchlights, signal lights, something perhaps. Very difficult to tell at the scale. But you also have kind of a mold seam going along the side as well. So you really need to trim that. Otherwise, these pieces just look like they are, you know, artifacts rather than something that belongs there. So it's a bit of a pain. And imagine this is where photo etch would add to this kit, if indeed the photo etch covers those sorts of pieces. The thing is, they're not really things that photo etch would represent very well. Resin, maybe. Anyway, so these pieces are the side. That's actually a surprisingly good fit. And I don't mean that facetiously. So just putting that in place, holding it in place, and then just putting a bit of Tamiya extra thin on the inside there is just, you don't need anything more than that really to hold that in place. That's quite nice. I quite like it when it's easy. No, that's not fair. I like it when it's easy. It's not I quite like it. I much prefer an easy build than something which is really going to be a hassle. I don't mind a challenge, but I don't want a kit to fight me. You know, if I want a kit to fight me, I can buy a kit that I know will fight me. You know, I can buy an old 70s, 80s kit that I know I'm going to have to work on, that I'm going to have to scratch build stuff or, you know, whatever it is. But I don't generally want that in a kit. If I'm buying a modern kit, I want it to go together. I want it to help me. I want it to feel like it's working with me. You know, that's not what I'm paying modern prices for, to get 1970s fighting tech. I want to put it that way. Yeah, the cleanup is most prominent around these end ones in the center of the piece here. See that? See if we can get it a bit more in focus. These ones here. It's just the edge of this. Okay, let's see if we can. This one doesn't seem to fit quite as nicely. But still as easy to put on, and actually with the glue on, that's not bad. Okay. How are we doing on time? Okay, good. So this should all be 165. What is 165? I've got a feeling that's something like light ghost grey. Medium sea grey. Okay, not far off. 127 is US light goose grey. No, which is the outside, yeah. It's sad, isn't it, when you start to know the names. Somebody asked me today in the shop, they were just like looking for a paint, and they were just like, what's aluminium? And I said, I think it's XF16. It's like, yep, you're right, it is. It's just like, oh God, I know that off by heart. So we want 19D, which is this one, which have these ugly joining pieces between them. And I need to remove all of those. By the way, if you're making sprue goo, this is the kind of size you want to be cutting your sprue into. Sort of, and I would say for these, you really want to be cutting them like this, so that they are just single, like little pieces, less than a centimeter. That's sort of your, I would say, the maximum kind of size you want your sprue pieces to be to create sprue goo. Just as an aside. Right, so it was 19 I wanted first, wasn't it? So 19 goes in this side end, and the interior piece is the one with the little bit on the inside, so like that. Not a very positive fit, let's put it that way. Unfortunately, because it joins on each side on the frame, on the sprue, you've got cleanup on every side of this, because it connects on the sides and on the top. Okay. I have kind of my spidey senses telling me this is going to be one of those kind of things that is a bit of a pain in the arse. 39 just feels like one of those things that when you start to put it together and it all starts to join up, what moving one piece will move every other piece, you know? That sort of feel. That's the vibe I'm getting from it. I don't know whether that's true. I'm happy for the kit to prove me wrong. You know, there are times when I am happy to be proved wrong, and it's usually when it's in my favor. Let's see. No, I think I'm right. I think it's going to be those RC builds. Damn it. I hate being right sometimes. Oh yeah. This is one of those fiddly RC, everything moves, everything else bits, for sure. Yeah. Which means, of course, that you kind of have to finish the whole assembly. Otherwise, if one piece moves the others and you don't finish it, it could possibly be in the wrong position, and then it all is wrong. Great. And of course, because every piece needs to be trimmed on basically every surface, although this one doesn't look too bad. No, that goes right way around. Yeah, the fit of these is a little bit ambiguous. And one piece affects the next. They sort of go at a, I don't know, it may be a 7 to 10 degree angle outwards. It's yeah. I mean, I don't really know how they could have done it differently. But this, I think, is where precision in your design and casting, molding really makes the difference. Because I imagine if this was an ICM assembly, Tamiya assembly, it wouldn't be quite like this. So far, we're doing okay. We haven't screwed it up yet. Which, of course, I shouldn't have just said, because now, of course, I will. But yeah, these pieces are held in place on all sides. So, which is kind of good in one way and bad in another. The other being, of course, you've got to clean up every single side. I don't really think you should get them all out at once, because then you could get them confused, which would be really bad. I mean, the fit of this is so ambiguous. It's kind of like just put it in place and hope, and then put some cement on and get it roughly in the right place and hope it stays there. Don't breathe. Okay. Why it tells you to put all of those pieces on and then these two happen to be a separate section entirely, I don't know. I wouldn't leave it at that section. You think, oh, I've done that, I'll leave that to dry. No, no, no. You want to do these pieces as well. 17. Oh, I was going to say I'll cut them both out because they are handed, but I don't trust myself that much. So let's do them separately. It should just get us nicely to the end of the stream, I think. So this one goes in here. Oh, yeah, okay. Thank God this plastic is soft. And then piece 18 is going to be the last wall here. I don't know if modern destroyers are, armored in the same way that like World War II vessels and stuff were, because these walls seem very thick. Yeah, this is what I was wondering about. That last piece seems to be pushing all of the others. So that's going to be a pre-glue thing. Okay. Okay. That's resisting a little bit, but it's not gone too badly, that. There we have our little bridge assembly. So I think what I'm going to do is paint that, and then we'll add deck crew to it. Paint these and get those in there, just for a little bit of fun. By fun, I mean torturous painting. Hey, Dave, Spoon Blue's in. Good evening, sir. Good to see you. Unfortunately, we're just ending, but at least you got here just in time. Yeah, I suppose you could make that piece all in one. Certainly, you could have made like this section. I mean, you could have made it in two halves, to be honest. It wasn't as bad as I anticipated it to be honest. It was a little bit fiddly, but yeah, it's okay. There's, of course, no glazing in here. So if you want to add glazing, that's going to be something you have to do yourself. Now, of course, this piece, and I appreciate we're going a little bit long, but I think it's just worth a couple of minutes just to finish us off here, right? So this piece obviously goes in here, and I would say it's not a bad idea to take this piece at this stage and just put it in here, because that isn't quite going in how I originally had it. Now it does. So now that's going to set in the correct place, right? And if I'd had it how it was before, it would have glued slightly at the wrong angle, and then it would have been a nightmare to put this piece in. So although I'm not gluing that piece in, having it there just to form the, the 100% correct shape, I think is a good idea. So I would say that about several stages that we covered tonight, particularly this funnel area. Now, obviously, we still need to address the broken piece here. I'll do that next time. But otherwise, I mean, I think we had a fairly straightforward build tonight. But there are certain points to watch out for in this kit. So one are those tabs. So making sure that those tabs are cleared enough. So whether that means shaving them from the top or from underneath, so they don't push out against the piece when you're putting it in, so it doesn't provide resistance, so it's trying to tear itself apart. Making sure you've got some of these pieces in the right order is important. So that's, I think, the other learning piece, and that's exemplified by putting this piece in, after all of those, and also making sure you don't glue this piece in accidentally while you're doing that. Give it a little moment for the for most of the extra thin to evaporate before you come in. We obviously will need to go and fill quite a lot in some of these, and obviously we'll do that at the end of the build, and I will cover that as well, of course. But otherwise, we made pretty good progress today, guys. I think that piece goes here, right? Something like that. So thank you all for joining me tonight. Let me just swap over to the other camera. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. Sorry about that, guys. For some reason, it just stopped. Again, StreamYard being StreamYard. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We're on. Obviously, no special effect on the back there. This is how it normally looks, my big green screen. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me tonight. Pleasure as always to spend some time with you. Hopefully you found that, well, at least entertaining, if not instructive, watching me struggle with pieces. But yeah, I mean, a few points. Oh, and the other point, of course, that there was the thing was this piece at the back here. Sorry, let me just hide that comment so you can actually see. So shaving the bit there for that door. So that door does prevent this top piece fully coming down. So that's not a great bit there. So just be aware of that. So if you do have your own Type 45 and are following along, building your own kit, hopefully you don't run into the same problems. Hopefully I can make the mistakes so you guys don't have to. But yeah, thanks for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Hopefully John will be doing Scale Modeling Live on Friday, and there will be a video out. I'm not quite sure which one it will be. Depends if I can photograph the Saturn V, or if I can finish the current other video that I'm doing, which is about why paint mixing works. So one will be out at some point in the next few days. And hopefully I can see you on that one as well. So thank you again, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers now.